last but not least, Senator Gordon.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, everyone. Good afternoon, Abala. I'm not going to tax your patience by asking you many questions. I'm just going to ask very basic questions to all. Number one, saan ho ba galing ang drugs natin? I know it's a simple question, but saan ho ba galing ang drugs natin? Saan ho ba ang supply ng drugs na gagaling? Kasi tinatanong natin lahat, tayo may kasalanan lahat. Yung prosecution, yung police, sinisisi natin. Saan ho ba galing ang drugs?
Your Honor,
Yes, sir.
Your Honor, the number one source of drugs is China, imported.
And of course, we're talking to China, sir, aren't we?
Yes, Your Honor.
And yet they're still coming in.
Yes, Your Honor, through our seaports, as you know, your
Yes, I know. The seaports are very porous. Our airports are very porous. In fact, yung ecstasy, yung mga drugs na, ano yan, green amore, nagagaling sa airport, nakakapasok, hindi ho ba?
Yes,
Kung alam natin kung saan galing yung drugs, yung mag-shabu galing lahat sa China yan. General, galing ho ba? Parang...
So far, Your Honor, sa latest namin operations, either China, Hong Kong, or Taiwan. But,
so dapat pala ang solution dito, condemn China for bringing drugs to the Philippines. Because we've done everything here already. I'm not sure whether creating another new government agency will solve the problem unless we start, closing the spigot from China.
Yes, Your Honor. In fact, if we discover Cebu laboratories here in the Philippines, the technical people are coming from China.
Then we should shame China. We should shame China. They're not only taking our land, they're also bringing in drugs to our country. In other words, they're committing a serious security problem for our country. If lahat lang tayo ng drugs, we'll all be drug crazed already. Is that possible, Your Honor?
Sir, if it is state-sponsored act, then maybe we can shame them.
And they have a death penalty too, right?
Yes, Your Honor.
And the death penalty has not deterred them from exporting drugs and putting in drugs in their own country. So the problem, Your Honor, is enforcement. Bottom line, let's call a spade a spade. If drugs are coming from China, then the Foreign Affairs Department should lodge a strong protest, and the Philippine law enforcement agency should say, the following drugs came from China. The following citizens of China have been involving themselves in drugs here in our country, and we protest, and we want the United Nations to help us quell this problem of drugs. Is that possible, Your Honor? Can you say that?
Yes, Your Honor.
I'm glad you do, because I know you're a good police officer. Hindi ka natatakot, hindi ka na rin natutulog, no? Gusto ko makatulog ka rin. Because the same problem also is, when we start talking about it, let's now go to the effects, because ang solution dito is create another agency or change the agency. Parang gawin nating federal. Parang new society. How can I have a new society with the same old faces? Di ba? Ganun rin dito. So, ang solution ko, tatanong ko sa inyo, how extensive is the drug problem? How many of our young are affected? Sinasabi nila, 3 million people in this country are affected by drugs. Is that correct? Sir, is that correct? Dapat alam niyo yung statistics.
We have 3.7 million
Filipinos are affected.
Yes,
That is about 3.7% of the population. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes.
And out of this, we have 1.8 million shabu users, or 48.9%.
And who are the shabu users? Youth? Ilan ang youth doon? Anong studies niyo? Ilan ang youth? Ilan ang drivers? Ilan ang mga workers? Ilan ang mga society boys and society girls?
Sir, the profile of a drug user is that it's between...
I'm not asking for profiles. I'm asking for empirical data. Brute reality.
Well, we have 3.7 million drug
That's
users.
correct. I heard you say that. I'm sorry.
Yes,
I'm just... we'll have time eh. I'm sorry. I'm not disrespecting you, no? I just want to know, ilan doon ang talagang apektado, yung mga bata? Sa eskwela ba yan? Ilan sa eskwela ang apektado? Because kung sa eskwela may problema, then we address the solution to the eskwela. Do we address it to the PTA? Do we ask the PTA or the, ang tawag lang ngayon doon? Noong 1950s pa kasi yung PTA ng bata ko eh. PTA pa rin, no? Okay, PTA. Kami ngayon, paday takot sa asawa na ngayon. Pareho ni General Bato. Yung bang ina-address ba ninyo yan? Nakita ko dito, meron ba, kasama pa kami sa Red Cross dyan. Ina-address ba natin yung PTA para yung parents? Do you know? Isang question lang. Do you know what your child is doing right now? Do you have a campaign like that? Because I'm going to propose it right now. Do you know what your child is doing right now? Yung mga nag-party. Sabi kanina, may 11 years old, namatay, 5. Do you know what your children are doing right now? Because to me, we cannot escape accountability by the police. Sisisihin ko kayo, sisisihin ko ang NBI, sisisihin ko ang justice, sisisihin ko yung mga piskal. But the number one problem is accountability goes back to the family, then to the school, then to the community, then to the churches. And then, kung nasa bilibid yung nagda-drugs, ang drug lord doon, may mga TV, may mga jacuzzi, may baril, may babae. Then, anong ginagawa ng bilibid? Hindi ba pwedeng isara yung pinto ng bilibid para hindi ba makapasok? Hindi ba natin pwedeng higpitan yung Manila International Airport, yung Cebu International Airport, nahigpitan yan at pag may nahuli, talagang upakan talaga yung mga yan. Di ba? Hindi ko sila sempatayin, ha? Upakan lang. Tama ba yun? To me, we're going to create another agency here. Bibigyan pa natin ng rason yung mga tao na PhilHealth, bibigyan ko ng PhilHealth, ang daming diabetic na hindi mabigyan ng dialysis support. Ang daming may cancer. Sasabihin nyo pa ngayon sa mga bata, mag-drugs kayo, may PhilHealth kayo mamaya, kumimbala sa inyo. I didn't hear you say anything about that. Takot ba kayo sa mga senador? Hindi naman siguro. You're here to tell us the truth. If you think that this is going to be redundant, you have the right to say that. That's why you're here. If you think we're going to give PhilHealth, will putting PhilHealth here encourage more or decrease? That's my question. I'm sorry, I'm very passionate. Hindi ako galit, ha? Ganun lang ako.
Sir, talking about the drug problem, out of the 3.4 million,
3.7. You said 3.7.
1% of these are youth.
Youth.
With the age of 10 to 19.
10 to 19.
Yes, sir, mostly male, and there's no distinction between rich or poor. The Department of Health, Department of Education has a program with the elementary and high school on drug education, preventive drug
Sir,
education. Yes, sir.
Let me just cut you off. I'm sorry. The Department of Education has a health problem. How many dentists do we have in every school? How many doctors do we have in every school? To me, if you have a problem in school like this, you should have a psychologist who will make sure that when there's a problem, he can spot it, and right away, he should apply the necessary approach. Would you agree with me on that?
Yes, sir. In fact, we're recommending to the new agency for all legal drug activities to be channeled through the PRADA. So they can give direction and focus to the illegal drug operations.
So my question is, you need guidance counselors that are well-trained. Hindi kailangan psychiatrists. Pagka talagang grabe na, you get a psychiatrist in the city. Dapat meron nun. Hindi ba? Kasi dito, tinitignan ko yung inyong rules eh. Inyong mga ginawa sa PIDEA. Meron kayong mga rules dito na kailangan pag nahuli, kukunin yung pera ng drug lord, kukunin yung ari-arian, yung mga aeroplano, yung mga kotse, yung mga yata. Let me ask my tukayo, Richard, Undersecretary, meron na ba kayo nakuha mga kotse, marami na ba kayo nakuha kotse, lote, bahay, mansion, na mga drugs na lords na nahuhuli nyo?
Honestly, sir, hindi ho, halos wala pa ho. Dahil sa
Wala.
ang nangyayari po, the focus is,
So,
what we get are the evidence only that are recovered.
So, Mr. Chairman, this is a dead letter law again. So what I'm saying is, we in the Senate have to focus where the problem is. That is a particular problem na kakatakutan. Lahat ng tao takot makuha yung bahay niya, makuha yung pera niya, pero pumapasok pa sa bilibid. Mga damuho talaga. Abay, dinidilaan kayo. Kayong mga pulis, kayo sa mga Justice Department. Paano nyo pinapayagan, makapasok doon, hindi nyo nakuha yung kanyang pera, nakakapagdala pa sila ng baril, babae, talagang bathtubs, doon sa... di talaga niloloko tayo, di ba? Kaya may problema tayo. Whether it came from the past administration is of no moment. We have a problem, let us face it. If 1% is coming from the schools, harapin natin kagad yan. I will recommend that we provide very highly trained guidance counselors. There's another one here. Sinasabi nyo, lahat ng syudad must have a forensic laboratory para makatulong sa pag-determine kung may drugs. Tama po ba yan? Meron po bang ganon? O ilan lang? Konti lang o ano ho? So, kaya nahihirapan kayo, kaya 27% succession rate, sapagkat pagdating na doon sa husgado, hindi natin sigurado kung drugs yun, tatagal, madidismiss yung kaso. Tama po ba yan? Yun ang problema eh. That is why you are all here. Kayo na ngayon ang sinisisi ko. Pag humarap kayo dito, this is our chance to be educated. We do not have a franchise on education here. Your experience will tell us kung ano ang mali doon sa law. And that is why I would like to put it in perspective. I don't mind na sumuko sa inyo 600,000. Sumuko 1 million. Fine. Alam ko na ngayon kung sino. And I like it because ang success na takot, na intimidate. Kaya ako, I have no opinion. Na sinabi, itong mayor na ito, itong congressman na ito, itong ganito, nangungumpisa na sila ngayon. Although, that is a very bad precedent. You have to prove it. You have to prove it. Especially the police. I told them, you cannot say that because you will be charged with grave threats. If you say that, maybe the president can do that because you will have to wait until he's finished with his term before you can sue him. But my point is this. At least na andyan yung 1 million o 600,000 na alam nyo na, sabihin nyo na doon sa mga eskwela, tulungan nyo na ng guidance counselors, tulungan nyo na, pasok, hindi naman kailangan kulong lahat yan eh. Pero alam na nila yan, pagka nahuli ka pa, gawa tayo ng batas, aggravating circumstance yan, tataas ang penalty sa'yo. Pwede po ba yan? Hindi po ba solution yan? So, yan, nahuli nyo, may pakinabang tayo ngayon, doon sa nangyari na sumuko, alam natin ngayon, may record sila, malalaman natin ngayon na talaga dapat, pagka kayo gumawa niya ngayon, dadagdagan natin ang inyong penalty. Pwede po ba yan? Because kung dadagdagan ko lahat yung sinasabi dito sa inyong rules ng PIDEA, sasabihin ko, hindi nag-work. Pero it doesn't mean just because it doesn't work, means that it is not good. You just have to implement it. Hindi po ba? You have to implement safeguards in the Manila International Airport para hindi makapasok, pati lang nagbala. You have to implement doon sa Bilibid para hindi makapasok yung drugs. Dapat parusahan ko mahuli. Hindi po ba? So the problem is really enforcement. So when the police does their work today, and I'm not going to say anything about killings, I'm going to ask the police later on, paliwanag nyo, yung mga vigilante killings kung meron, ayoko yan. Kung merong talagang smoking gun, nakaposos na, binaril, nabaril, magpaliwanag kayo. Pag nagpaputok yung polis, magpaliwanag kayo, may internal affairs tayo, we did the law, implement that, that is fair. But right now, I will pat the president down to everybody because now, nangatakot. There is an atmosphere that the bully pulpit has been utilized and people now realize that the government is now really focused on implementing the law. Natatakutin lahat yung mga drug pushers. Tama po ba yan? On that note, I will finish because there will be many more days to come. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Senator Gordon.